All right, perfect. So welcome everybody. I know we have people that are still kind of logging on, and that's awesome. Thank you so much for making the time to join today for our new member orientation if you're in the right place, let's just make sure the Eastern Association for the Surgery of Trauma, new member orientation. We are going to kind of run through a little bit of an introduction. I just want to make sure that everybody knows to keep their microphones muted and off until we enter the breakout rooms. So we're going to do that following this presentation. You will have the opportunity as new members to meet with East volunteers, and we have quite a few on the line, to ask questions and learn more about how to get involved with East after we do some introduction in the beginning here. And so Alex was kind enough to advance to the next slide. So this is, could you just go back one slide? Sorry.
Yes, I can.
Thanks. So our tagline, as you can see, is advancing science, fostering relationships, building careers. I think you'll hear from a lot of people on the call today or in the breakout sessions too about why they joined East, why East is important to them, maybe how it advanced their career. But this is really what the organization is about. Of course, great science, but also fostering relationships. And for you as new members, that starts today, and building your career as a trauma surgeon. Next slide, Alex. So you're going to be hearing from the three of us to start it off. I am really honored to be speaking today as the president of this organization for the year, as long as they'll have me, but I think I'll last the year. I'm just kidding. We have Dr. Lenworth Jacobs, who is, if anybody doesn't know Dr. Jacobs, you will get to know him very quickly. He is an East founding member, and we're really fortunate to have him on today, and he's going to talk a little bit about the history of East, also be part of the breakout rooms. And so please feel free to ask him questions and lean on his expertise. And of course, we have Dr. Alex Schwed, who is the MC. He's also the East Membership Recruitment Retention Committee Chair and has helped organize this entire extravaganza. So thank you, Alex, for doing so and for advancing the slides. And we also have East Superstars. And these are East members who've joined in the last few years, who've set an example of supporting the mission of East through their volunteer work within the organization. I always have to keep in mind, we all know, everybody on the call too, we all have full-time jobs, busy full-time jobs, very demanding full-time jobs. And a lot of us have committed additional time to East because we believe so strongly in the organization. So we're lucky to have Martha Godfrey with us today. She joined East in 2023. We also have Carlos Palacio, who joined East in 2017, and Annika Story, who joined in 2020. And they'll all be discussing how they got involved in East following Dr. Schwed's presentation regarding how to get involved. So we're really excited to have them here today. And again, thank them for their time, making time in their schedule. Next slide. We do have, as you'll see from the call for volunteers that goes out later in the year, we do have a committee called the East Membership Recruitment and Retention Committee. They are focused on many things, but one of them is making this orientation possible. And you can see the members of that committee listed on the slide in front of you, and some of them are here on the call today. So thank you. And our East volunteers, again, for their support, and they are all listed on the slide. A lot of them, many slides. Multiple slides. So welcome to the new East members. I think you guys need to be really excited. You're joining such an incredible organization, such a vibrant organization that now has over 3,800 members. So an incredible number, and you're joining it and you're becoming part of this movement that is East. So thank you for joining us today and welcome. You're really joining at an exciting time, and we're very glad to have you on board. Go to the next slide. Okay, so about East, and all this you can read on the website. So I'm just going to personalize it a little bit. I joined East in 2011. I'll tell you that. I've served the organization in a variety of roles. I've been on committees, volunteered for committees, vice chair to committee. I was very fortunate to be the secretary for a 3-year term, and then the president-elect and the president. And so East has really been a pillar of my personal and professional existence since 2011. I think one of the reasons I joined East, and I've said this in the leadership development workshop, is that I was told to join East, so I joined. But one of the reasons I stayed engaged was because I remember at the time, and I'll be honest, the place I was working at, which is a place I still work at, it was not a great environment. We were struggling with a lot of faculty turnover, a lot of burnout, and it was a difficult environment to work in. And I would go to the East meeting, and even my first East meeting, and I would find these amazing people from all over the country that were trauma surgeons, and I'd get to listen to their experiences. And I'd realize that, even though I was questioning my own career choices and did I really want to be a trauma surgeon in the environment I was in, I was reassured by going to East and realizing that I had done the right thing. I had joined the right profession. And I just needed to sort of try to make it work. And I needed to lean on some of my national colleagues and really find a home outside of my own organization's walls to get involved and to be able to have a voice and maybe achieve things that I couldn't at home at the time. And so East really became a safe haven for me. I started to look forward to the meeting every year, and I still do. It's such a great time. You'll see that the people in this organization, they're not just your colleagues, they become your friends. They become people that you rely on, people that you trade stories with, people that you become very invested in. And that feel isn't just at the meeting. I can spoiler alert. It occurs all throughout the year as you connect with people and talk to people and get involved in working with the organization. And it really is, I don't know, Alex, you can weigh in. I see Libby's face, Kinga's face, Annika's face, just such a nice environment. And trauma surgery can be a really tough road to walk. I think we all know that, right? This is a tough job, and what we do is heavy. And just having a group of people that is like-minded, that really wants to just, as we said, advance science, foster relationships, and build careers, and that's really the genuine spirit of the organization, is amazing. And it has meant so much to me, more than I could say in 2 minutes on a slide. So welcome again, and you join the right place. If you were questioning it, don't question anymore. You're in the right environment. We can go to the next slide, because one very important thing, this is a picture of everybody at the 2025 Annual Scientific Assembly, which was out in Tucson. But I'm going to say to you, I know that times are different now in a lot of institutions in terms of getting to meetings, getting time in your schedule, getting, how you get to them, and whether or not you get reimbursed. But this is the meeting worth going to. Every year in January, the Annual Scientific Assembly is held. This year, it will be in Atlanta, Georgia. I expect to see everybody. Let me see how many. We have 62 people on right now. All 62 people should be there, along with many others. But it will be in Atlanta, Georgia. This week, it'll be the following Martin Luther King Day. So it's the week of January 20th to the 23rd. It's at the Cigna by Hilton at the World Congress Center. So easy hub to fly into, nice place to go, a lot of history. We're very excited. So I hope to see all of you at the annual meeting. It is great. I've gone there as a new member. It's one of the most exciting times to go to East, to kind of absorb everything, see what's going on, introduce yourself to people. And so we hope to see you there. I am going to turn it over, I think, to Dr. Jacobs, who is the best person I can think of to talk about East history, mission, vision, and goals. I'm going to mute myself.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Nicole and Alex, for inviting me back here. And what I thought would be helpful for people is to go back to the beginning and sort of ask and answer the question, why? And so back in the sort of middle 70s, if you will, Vietnam was winding down. A lot of it, as you remember, those are drafts, so it wasn't that you might want to go to Vietnam, you were drafted to go to Vietnam. And the rule book was, if you were a second-year resident or what I call a JAR, junior assistant resident, you were eligible to go, and you had a number, and your number came up, and 10 days later, you're in Southeast Asia. So if you remember, in that paradigm, you didn't have very much training, but you were an online trauma surgeon doing the most incredible trauma surgery you could imagine. And when people came back from that, they wanted to get back into their practices, whether it was a sort of private practice situation or an academic situation, but they wanted to get back to that and get on with their lives. So the young people coming up, which I was one of those at that time, as were the 4 people you see here, we were sort of given the opportunity to run pretty big operations. So here I was, 27 years old, as just out of residency at the Brigham and then University Hospital and Boston City Hospital. And I was directing the emergency medical services for the city of Boston and the Boston City Hospital Trauma Center. So you were just thrown into the total deep end, and you were doing things, which was good because that's trauma surgeons do. You do things. And we were sort of struggling and trying to figure out how to run these pretty big systems from day one. So for instance, a universal access number called 911 came in, I think, 73 or 74. EMTs came in 75, paramedics in 76. And so all of this was brand new. In the meantime, the trauma association at that time was the American Association for the Surgery of Trauma. It had a fixed number of people who could get in there, and someone either had to resign or move on, usually called dying, for you to get into the WAST. And the number was small, maybe 350 or something. And then the second thing is it was heavily academic research based. So if you were struggling with day-to-day trauma problems of how to deliver care in a city hospitals, there wasn't much place for that. So we and the people here, Howard Champion, he was at MedStar in Washington. Bert Harris was at Tufts at the Children's Hospital there. He's a pediatric surgeon, pediatric surgeon doing trauma, and was a general in the military. Myself at Boston City Hospital, and Kimball Mall out of Tennessee. And we were decided that we need to have a voice. So we actually got at the airport in Washington and literally sort of said, oh, how are we going to do this? And we kind of figured out we needed an association. We needed to get people involved and focus the issue on operational issues, not so much research, but operations. And then Kim Mall was pretty good at setting up bylaws and stuff like that. And we said, well, as you can imagine, the WAST kind of didn't like that these young upstarts were getting organized. So we made a trade and said that this organization would be for the younger people to develop them, mentor them, give them a voice, answer and ask questions and move forward. And that's why we're under 50. The organization was for people under the age of 50. And when you became 50, you couldn't hold office, and you could stay in the organization, but you couldn't hold office anymore. And that meant that young people were driving this, welcoming new ideas, welcoming new things, and moving forward. I noticed on the first slide that East now has 3,800 members. The first meeting had 92 members, so a big difference. And it wasn't particularly well. The WAST didn't think this was a great idea. So we said, okay, we'll create a journal. And they thought that was a terrible idea. So what they did was they said, well, we will allow you and give you papers that are worthy will be published in the Journal of Trauma. And East would be on the byline of the Journal of Trauma. That's a big deal. So it gave us instant scientific credibility to move forward. And it usually took about a year to maybe 18 months to get an article published. And what we did, we said, if you present a paper, one of the East members has to review that paper with a written review and then be prepared to discuss it at the meeting. And what that meant is that immediately after the meeting, the papers which were good enough were selected, sent to the Journal of Trauma, and we were published in 6 months. In fact, the first one was published in 4 months. And that was revolutionary. And it really got people excited, and they wanted to join this organization. And it was great. The second sort of issue here was we're young people. So young people have wives and husbands and family and kids. So this was an organization for that. And it was in warm weather on the beach in Western Florida. So it was guaranteed to be warm weather as opposed to the Northeast in January. So people, not only did you learn who each other was, but you learned who their families were, their kids, all kids grew up together. And it was really a family of individuals. And that was another driving force there. And the other driving force was that we wanted to put the wisdom of the group to work and then have East guidelines, if you will, so that coming out of this wisdom would be something very meaningful and very actionable. So that was really where it was. And Alex, if you can hit the next slide for me. Thank you. So the mission, scientific, note the word scientific organization, leadership and development for early and mid-career, i.e. under 50, who are active in acute care management of the ill and injured patient. And that really meant that you had to be heavily clinical and operationally driven to be part of this deal. And then the other one was to be the premier organization for early and mid-career surgeons. The word premier meant the best organization, but we didn't really want to be too in your face to the more older people. So we said early and mid-career, but we also opened the doors to anybody to come to the meeting and give their wisdom. So yes, it was for early and mid-career surgeons. Yes, it was scientific. Yes, it was the best organization, but it was open to any and all people who wanted to contribute. The last one, please. So leadership, and what you on this call need to know is you really do need to be prepared. There are ways to become leaders, and East really champions those ways. They lay it out for you, and they give you a roadmap, if you will, as how to progress in your organization, both clinically, academically, and organizationally. And so that means if you're in the academic world, how do you go from assistant to associate to full professor? If you're in the clinical world, how do you get from taking care of people to managing a unit to managing a trauma center? And those are skills which are reproducible. And we in East want to make those easy for people to do. The development part, a unique program, and that's these whole East guidelines, which gives people a chance to identify what are the important problems and questions out there. How do you put your arms around them? How do you get a group of people who are dealing with those problems and come up with solutions? Scholarship, education and training across the continuum, and I think East has done that superbly well. Fellowship, I talked about it. How do you encourage a sense of community and personal professional growth? And again, it's kind of how do you manage your own life, but pay attention to your family, your loved ones, and give them a special place in your developmental program so that you're paying attention to both doing well for your patients, for yourself, and your family. And then collaboration to work with stakeholders to advance patient care and trauma systems. And hats off to the people like Norman McSwain, Don Trunke, Ken Maddox, people like that who were early on in the system and really dedicated to really giving first-line care right from pre-hospital to resuscitation in the ED, to skills in the operating room, to post-op care, i.e. ICU care. And if you remember in those days, we wouldn't have acute care surgery, or actually we did, it just didn't have that name. So you were doing everything, and you were expected to be not only competent, but expert in pre-hospital, in resuscitation in the ED, in ICU management and rehabilitation. That you were supposed to know how to do all of that stuff and give leadership to it. So that's what East did. And I think it's been extraordinarily successful. Tip the hat to Nicole and all the previous people who have really helped move this organization forward. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dr. Jacobs. It's great to hear about the history of the organization. If you can't tell, I'm fighting a little bit of a head cold, but I want to go in the next 10 or 12 minutes through all of the scores of different ways that you can get involved in the East organization. Thank you all for showing up to hear more about this group that you signed up for, and you may or may not have paid your dues yet, which we'll remind you about at the end. I want to emphasize something that Dr. Fox mentioned, which is attending the annual assembly. Dr. Jacobs was talking about the original intent was to go someplace warm in January and bring people's families. I think that spirit still travels, even though it's a sort of very different meeting than probably I imagine they were in the early 90s. This is a picture of the No Suit, No Problem networking event. That's one of the highlights, I think, for new members of the organization. There are thematic tables. It's a low stakes event. We get volunteers who are experts in things like rural surgery or research or guideline development or starting your first job. And it's a way to connect with our large organization, which has a lot of expertise within it. In addition, as new members, you all have access to the member directory, and it's a really easy way to look up folks to see if you can identify potential collaborators, or if you see someone's name on a paper and you want to reach out to them personally, it's a great way to do so. I think the other thing to say about the meeting that I love is that people are really relaxed and approachable. So it doesn't matter if you're like the founder of the society or a medical student, people talk to each other. They want to spend time with each other and talk about science, talk about trauma surgery, and talk about life. And it's a really great and fun time. There are a lot of resources for those who are interested in doing any speaking. So we have our Speakers Bureau, which is a way of listing your own expertise through your member directory information. And if you're looking for speakers, this is a great way to find folks who might have an area of expertise that you can bring to your institution for grand rounds or for a certain type of presentation. And again, to sort of drill home the message about the annual meeting, this is a really great opportunity for any level of any person throughout their sort of professional lifetime. So whether you're a student, a resident, fellow, or early faculty, we really encourage you to submit an abstract to the meeting. The deadline for the East submission is July 1st. We routinely have medical students who present at the podium or early career residents who do so. This is a really amazing opportunity to get your science and get your name out on a national stage. And so we encourage you to take advantage of that. These are just some pictures from the most recent meeting in Tucson, which was a great time. You can see people wear Hawaiian shirts and leis, and people are casual. Some people do dress up. That's fine too, but you certainly don't have to. Really, the way that this organization continues to thrive and expand is through the work of volunteers. Everybody in a leadership position on this call is a volunteer. I want to emphasize something that Nicole said, which is we all have really busy lives and personal lives and professional lives. And so we're really appreciative of any volunteerism that anyone wants to give to the organization. We make an annual call for volunteers in August. And so for anyone who's interested on the call in joining a committee, and I'm going to go through some of the different things that you can do through that committee work, but anyone who's interested, even as a new member, there's no barrier that says you have to be a member for X number of years before you can be on a committee or anything like that. So check your email inboxes in August. That's when the call for volunteer goes out. And there are so many different ways to volunteer for organization, which I'm going to outline briefly here. East has a big structure. There are a lot of people and a lot of faces. I think the point of this slide, honestly, is just to emphasize the fact that there are a lot of different flavors of volunteerism that are appreciated by organization. If you are an expert in research, there's a whole group of folks who that's their only mission within the East organization. If you are like me, like an extrovert who wants to talk to people and get people to join the organization, that's, I think, how I fell into being a committee chair. There are lots of different ways to get involved. And so the divisions of education, member services, patient care and resources, professional development, publications and research all have these different flavors and all of these different committees within these larger divisions, all of which need help and are looking for volunteers. And so I really encourage you all to think about ways that you might want to use your talents that you currently have or things that you're interested in learning more about yourself and developing those leadership skills that Dr. Jacobs was mentioning. I think one of the amazing aspects of this organization, one that really resonates with me personally, is the East Mentoring Program. I took my first job out of fellowship, which turned out to be not a good fit for me, and I actually relied on my East Mentoring family for a lot of advice and guidance. I was a very junior faculty member at a place without a lot of senior leadership on campus, and I really needed some outside perspectives to do some reality testing and to really help me navigate changing jobs, how to talk to my partners about that, how to talk to my local leadership about that. And so Tom Duncan was one of my East mentors and really, really helped me navigate this really tricky professional situation, which I hope none of you find yourselves in. The East mentoring families can also be just a way to get to know other folks who work in different areas of the country. The mentoring committee really works very, very hard to pair people based on shared interests or shared goals or things that people are looking for. I think the other thing that's lovely about this is that you might one year be a very junior person in your mentoring group, and the next year you sign up because you had such a good time, and you look around and you're the oldest quote unquote person in the group, and suddenly you're in that mentor role. And the reality is that because our organization spans such a wide swath of early and mid-career surgeons, including students, residents, and fellows, you as a young faculty member really actually have a lot of expertise to share with fellows, residents, and medical students. And so the mentoring program gets going every year, and the new session will open this coming fall, so stay tuned for that. For those with an interest in research, there are a ton of different ways to get involved and benefit from membership in the organization. There are multi-center trials. There's a whole multi-center trials program, and that is meant to help foster ideas that need a more robust recruitment. Trauma, we deal with relatively rare outcomes and relatively rare disease processes, and so oftentimes we need more powered research to actually get towards the truth. And so you might be a young faculty member with a great research idea. If you have an idea for a multi-center project that you want to propose, by all means, please do. The upcoming 2026 East Multi-Center Trials submission deadline is October 1st of this year. So you have a few months to think about something, maybe a project you did in the last few months or years that really needed more recruitment. That might be a great opportunity as a new member if your passion is research. This is a picture of the Invest-C workshop, which is an intensive mentoring opportunity that you can apply to participate in. There are members in this photo who are on this call today who can speak more about that. And then I think the other thing to know is that there are so many different opportunities for the organization to support your research through funding. And so there's a lot of different scholarships and awards that are available to, again, all levels of members. There's no, like, you must have been a member for so many months, weeks, years. And so there's a number of them, many with upcoming deadlines, including if you do have one of those multi-center trials that you're interested in floating an idea, you can actually apply for a Junior Investigator Award. That deadline's coming up on May 13th. We also have our John Templeton Jr. Injury Prevention Research Scholarship. So if your passion in research is injury prevention and from a public health lens, again, you can apply for money and support. That's also May 13th. There's a research scholarship more generally, which is a May 13th deadline. And then slightly later in the summer, there's the John Pryor Distinguished Service Award and the John Templeton Military Call to Service Award. These are meant to recognize our members in terms of their efforts in their trauma systems or for the military. But again, the organization takes seriously supporting the growth, maturation, and development of young surgeons. And it's a great way to get recognition for your work or get support if you need that financial support for the work that you're already doing. I think when Elliot Hout was the president, he gave his presidential address about the idea that, like, the East organization is in part the practice management guidelines. That's how we share our expertise and wisdom more broadly and globally. And if you're interested in algorithm development, or if your particular interest in sort of research and academia is in fact like evidence-based guidelines or evidence-based medicine, this is a really fantastic opportunity to get involved in shaping the sort of national discourse around how we best take care of folks. Also, if you have an idea for an East PMG, by all means, you can submit it. And again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. You don't have to pay your due. You do have to pay your dues, but you don't have to pay your dues in terms of being in the organization for a certain amount of time. If you have a great idea for a practice management guideline or an issue that has come up in your group or in your system that you think deserves some attention and critical discourse around, by all means, please do submit that idea. That submission deadline is May 30th. And if you're interested, you can scan that QR code to learn a little bit more about the East PMG process. I'll leave it on the screen for 5 seconds in case anyone wants to QR code it. This is also all on the website, so you can definitely go there as well. Once you sign up to be an East member, you get a twice monthly email, which I think is a great way to stay current on the literature surrounding all of the different aspects of our job that we practice. That Dr. Jacobs was mentioning, this idea of modern acute care surgery really being a do-it-all kind of gig. If you're interested in critically appraising literature, this is an opportunity for you to sign up and participate in that committee. They send out twice a month email with 3 or 4 studies that have been published in the last 18 to 24 months. They critically review them. It's a really nice high yield sort of overview of some of the current discourse on a lot of different topics. And they always need volunteer writers. So again, if you're interested, you can reach out to Nakia and send her an email. And this is a great way to get your foot in the door in terms of volunteering for the organization. As I mentioned, we span the gamut from students through senior faculty. And every year at the meeting, we have medical students who really need someone to show them around and show them the ropes. And this is a really great opportunity to volunteer for the organization as a way of being an ambassador or steward to our group, but also getting to interact with students and answer their questions and sort of be like a mini mentor for them for the day. This is a really great opportunity for people who are interested in medical education, but also who just enjoy the meeting and want to show other people around. And if you're interested, you can reach out to Nakia and send her an email. But this is a really great thing to have on your calendar or on your radar, rather. And we encourage anyone who wants to participate to please sign up. In addition to shepherding medical students around, one of the other lovely things about the meeting is every year we have an opportunity to give back to the local community that we are visiting for our scientific assembly. And so this is sort of a short-term volunteerism gig that is led through the Injury Control and Violence Prevention Committee. They do a really nice job identifying a local group that needs some support or infusion of mentorship or energy or volunteerism. This can be a really great way to just the meeting is great, but you can also sort of break up the meeting and sort of get outside the lecture hall and give back to a local community and sort of hang out with other East members who are like-minded. We'll know more about this opportunity probably in the fall as we're sort of coordinating in anticipation of the January meeting. But again, more information is on the website. And again, another great opportunity to get involved if this is your jam. A lot of different ways to connect on social media, all of which are here. I think that this is another great way to sort of stay involved and kind of have your finger on the pulse of sort of what's going on in the organization. And it's sort of one of the ways that we broadcast all the different work that we're doing. You can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. There's a Facebook group, and there's sort of other ways to stay current. And then finally, you can always reach out. Kinga and Nakia are amazing, and Christine leads the group there in the Chicago office. I have never not had them be extraordinarily helpful and basically do my job for me. I really appreciate them. But if you need to reach out to them, you can send them an email, you can call them. And then the website is really a phenomenal resource. It has a ton of information. It has all of the PMGs on it. It has all of the different committees and the work that everyone in this organization is doing. And I think if you haven't yet checked it out, I would really encourage you to do so. As new members, it's going to be one of your resources to use to learn more about opportunities if you are interested to get involved, but also to use the work product. Look up the PMGs, bring that to your grand rounds or your M&M or your trauma QI meetings, and sort of leverage your membership in the organization to sort of help improve care for our patients. That's all I've got. There are so many different things I could talk about. There are so many different opportunities, but I want to give the floor over to a couple of our more recent members who've joined, who've really made the most of the organization, and let them sort of tell you their own story. And we're going to start with Dr. Martha Godfrey, and we'll just go down the line. So I'm going to save my voice, and I'm going to keep it on this slide, Dr. Godfrey, unless you want me to come off this slide.
No, that works. So, hi, I'm Martha Godfrey. So what I think is fascinating about this is I was exactly in your shoes watching this orientation 2 years ago. And now I'm incredibly involved in the organization, and it's great. I was a fellow. I'm really interested in professional development and faculty development. So I went ahead and applied to join the Career Development Committee, and I got it. And so what they're saying in terms of joining committees is 100% true. You don't have to have some long-standing history or get voted in. You just apply, and I got it. And so then I got involved in the career development committee more, met more people, and through that was then able to take on some leadership opportunities. So I was able to help co-run the fabulous No Suit, No Problem session at the annual meeting, which again was an amazing opportunity for me. I was able to connect essentially with trauma surgeons around the nation, essentially all of the VIPs, the well-known ones, and essentially recruit them to come and give advice, to sit down and to mentor. So that was a phenomenal opportunity. And I think in general, the mentorship that you get through East is incredible. And they have the formal mentoring program, which is also amazing. They even have, I would say, it's such a great group of people. There's a strong informal component of mentoring as well. And so for me, when I joined as a fellow, trying to navigate how to find my first job, trying to deal with the interview process and what I should be looking for. And then even now, as an early career surgeon, I have people who I can rely on to help me learn how to navigate my first job. So it's an incredible organization to be a part of. I just recommend just jump in head first. It's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. Carlos Palacio, do you want to tell us a little bit about your East journey?
Hello. Yeah. Can you guys hear me well? Perfect. Great. So it has been an amazing experience for me. So a little bit of background, I'm in a community hospital. I'm not by any means an academic surgeon the way it's usually in a big world-known university. So I came to my work, or my job is at the Texas-Mexico border hospital that we have grown throughout the years. And I decided to join is at the beginning, sort of the beginning of my career, a couple of years into it, 2 or 3 years. And I joined, my passion is quality. So I joined the Quality and Safety Committee. And at the committee, I met amazing people that.
I think we might have lost him. So I'm going to ask, in the interest of time, if Annika Story wants to jump in, and then maybe we'll let Carlos get to some better signal.
Yeah, hey, no problem. I'm Annika Story. I may have joined East in 2020. I've been coming to the meeting since I was a fellow in 2016. I love this organization. It is wonderful for all the things that Dr. Fox and Dr. Schled and Dr. Jacobs say it is. It is, I have found a community of like-minded surgeons, and have found support from the East community when I myself have gone through career changes. There's no shortage of mentorship, both formal and informal, and a welcoming environment. There's no question that I've ever felt ashamed to ask for some of the more senior members in the room, and they've always been supportive. We all what I have found is that there is a common thread in that we all go through many similar things in different environments, and the support that East has had for myself and other members and other people that I've talked to at all of the meetings has just been a really incredible environment. My focus and my involvement with East has kind of hit a little bit of a capstone, and I hope to grow with it this year. I'm part of the career development committee, which is really, really busy actually. And then also co-led No Suits, No Problems, which is one of my favorite sessions at the meeting. It's really exciting. There's wonderful informal connections to be made. Everybody has actually a lot of fun. And I encourage you to come to the meeting and come to that session, because the perceived barrier to maybe talking to a Dr. Zarzar or a Dr. Fox or a Dr. Jason Smith is really gone. We're there to help each other, to connect, and to talk about this thing that we love doing, and helping patients.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. The meat of the matter. We're going to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes in breakout rooms, where you're going to get an opportunity to chat with a couple of current East members and get your questions answered, or just say hi and check in. Ideally, everyone's going to come back to the main Zoom in the last 5 minutes or so of the hour. There's 2 or 3 announcements. I know that Kinga's furiously working on assigning people. So I think you're all going to get like a pop-up on your screen that's going to say, go to this breakout room. And as usual, I look to Kinga and Nakia for guidance about what I'm saying wrong or doing wrong.
So, hi everyone. So I just see that Dr. Palacio was able to join again. Do we want
Hey,
to give
Alex,
him the
sorry,
opportunity?
That's
I
okay.
was on the phone. So I was just saying that to the people in the group that I'm very proud and I'm very honored to be part of East. I started, as I was saying, I'm a community surgeon. Started in a committee of quality, since that's my passion. And then I met some long-standing friends there. We were able to publish, to speak at some of the general membership meetings that we organize every year. And then after that, then I became the chair. So with a co-chair with my partner, Melissa Bolt. And we both are continuing to grow the organization. So if you have any passion for quality, please send me an email, join the committee, because what we need is people to help us move the committee forward. And with that, Alex, thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you. Sorry that we lost you temporarily. So, you will get a member certificate in the mail. And if you have already paid your dues, or you are a student or an international member, they're already in the mail. And I was joking earlier about like paying your dues literally versus figuratively. Your dues are due. So if you're a new member, please look for your emails from Kinga and Nakia and other folks in the head office to stay up to date. We appreciate that. And then a final plug for the meeting in January in Atlanta, January 20th through 23rd. I hope one of the themes that you picked up on in this hour was how much people enjoy going to the meeting, seeing each other, networking, hearing great science, but also fostering relationships and developing careers. That's literally the tagline of the organization. And I think all those things get achieved in a few intense days every January. Thank you all so much to our volunteers for hopping on the call and answering questions and putting a face for the organization. Thank you to Kinga and Nakia and Christine, and then to Dr. Nicole Fox and Dr. Lenworth Jacobs for helping me tell you all about this great group.